So as someone that has been a professor, a YouTube content creator, a nutrition consultant, a researcher, lots of different kind of avenues we went down, all around the same sort of route, generally speaking. What would you say to someone, maybe a young person going through life in 2023? Like, what would be your key points to look out for, whether that be like dietary, social, environmental, anything like that?
Cool. You forgot one. You forgot rock god in the 80s.
I forgot about that one, yeah.
Yeah, I really was. I played guitar and sang in bands. I had the head halfway down the back sort of thing. We used to put on the makeup and have the mascara spot the whole thing. We did the poodle rock thing. It was when Europe was big, and
I'm listening to Europe in 2 months.
Right. Okay.
Looking forward to that.
Cool. They must be on Zimmer frames by now.
Most likely. The band. What's that band called? Wasp. The guy that was performing there. He actually. Well, it's kind of odd. He had some sort of back problem when he was on stage. So I'm like, it scares me sometimes hearing these things about these rock artists, the ones that have come back, sort of thing.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, advice in general. Okay, life advice. As someone who has been around a bit, I'm now in my 52nd trip around the sun. So I've seen a few things, been a few places, got a bit of experience under my belt. The first thing that I appreciate absolutely is that people who are overconfident in themselves are not going to listen to what I've got to say, irrespective of the experience, knowledge, skills, wisdom I've picked up in that amount of time, all of that. And I'm thinking about myself as I was as a young person. I think young people are, in general, way too self-confident.
Yeah.
I think that recent generations, that's got worse and worse, actually. And I blame the way society has gone and the way that children are being raised, have been raised in recent years, where children are encouraged to speak up. They're encouraged to have opinions that they're not entitled to have. They're told their opinion is just as valid as the next person's. No, it isn't. Children are not taught respect for their elders these days and for those around them who are wiser, have more knowledge, have been around a few more times, all of that kind of stuff. Every child is given a prize just for showing up. And I think these are very, very serious mistakes. People are frowned upon for discriminating in any way. Some forms of discrimination are evil and unwarranted, absolutely. However, to say all discrimination of any kind is in the same basket of being evil and wrong is not correct. Because at the end of the day, if there are 3 or 4 people applying for a job and there's only one job to be had, the people on that panel will discriminate, won't they? And that's not evil. That's a fact of life. There are X amount of resources on the planet and there are X plus N people competing for those resources. Life is competitive. That is a fact of life. We are not all the same. We are not all equal. Equal opportunity is absolutely fair and just. The rules should be the same for everybody. What is wrong, in my opinion, is the fact that society now actually bends over backwards to apply different rules to different people in order to level the field. That is evil and it's wrong. that should not be occurring, that does a lot of damage to a person's view of the world, because it gives them a view of the world which is inaccurate. Facts of life are facts of life, whether they are soothing or otherwise. And I believe young people should understand and be taught that the way to win, the way to be a winner, is not just to show up. There should be no certificates of participation. However, that's what we're up against in terms of that. In terms of my advice for young people who find themselves thinking the things that they've been basically brainwashed into thinking since they were born, young people, is coming from someone who has been around a bit. Let me tell you a few things, okay? You are not necessarily a winner in every situation just for showing up. If you want to be a winner, you have to be genuinely better than everybody else in some way. I would like to think that people would strive to be better than everybody else in terms of their service to mankind, to others, rather than in feathering their own nest.
Yeah.
There are several ways to feather your own nest. One way is purely self-serving at the cost of others, and I don't think that's sustainable. Another way is to feather your nest by making sure that you feather other people's nest more than your own first. And then there's the pay it forward cosmic law of compensation thing that kicks in and you get what you deserve. I genuinely believe that people end up where they deserve to, sooner or later. I think that's just how the universe works. There is an inherent justice in the way the universe pays each individual person for their service to others, their service to mankind, if you like.
Yeah.
So that's that. I think you should be focused on service to others, not on self-service. I think it's important to understand that your opinion is not just as valid as anybody else's. No, it isn't, actually. Now, there may be things about which you know a great deal more than I do. For example, modern stuff that kids understand, like cell phones,
iPads and
all of that kind of stuff, video games. Okay, video games were around when I was young, absolutely, but not like they are now. I mean, we had the in Space Invaders. That was cool. That was cutting edge when I was young. So look, if you know something about something, and I know that you know more than I do about that thing, I will pay you that respect and I will listen to you and I will thank you for your advice and I will take heed of it because you know more about that than I do. I expect the same thing. There are things about which I know a great deal, and I'm thinking about one specific young person at the moment, you can probably guess, who doesn't understand that that's the case. He thinks he knows more about everything than I do, having not been alive.
I watched that again yesterday for a second time.
Having not been alive, as
Wow.
long as I have been involved in academia even, somehow this boy knows more than I do about things. And incredible. So,
The thing that stood... Sorry, but the thing that stood apparent to me about that talk you had was you've got two ears and one mouth, and it's almost as if he covered his ears, but then just started speaking.
Yeah. Look,
So you asked a question, he didn't answer it.
My mum said to me many times when I was a young person, you have one mouth and two ears. That is the proportion in which they ought to be used. As long as you're spouting about what you know or think you know, there's no way you can take in information from someone who actually does. And if your ego's standing in the way of that as well, no hope. Anyway, so that's some sort of general attitude, lifestyle, posture, where to place yourself in the universe things, by way of basic advice. In terms of life advice, I would suggest to you that very few people genuinely get to a point of personal and financial freedom in their life by working a job. Now, a job's a great thing for making rent or mortgage payment, buying some groceries, that kind of stuff, qualifying for debt for things that you can't afford on your salary. Sure. You can absolutely have the trappings and even appear to be successful working a job or a profession of some kind, hours for dollars, but you will never actually get free personally and financially doing that, ever. You need something in your life that has any possibility of producing for you both financial and personal freedom. I free you up financially and free your calendar up, free your days up, so that you can go and sit on a beach or travel the world or do public works of a philanthropic nature or whatever it is that fires you up. Yeah. Okay? Your job will...
I like that.
Your job will not produce that for you, ever. There will always be something around the corner, some unexpected expense. To get truly free, you have to make a lot of money. So I'm not telling you that you should quit your job tomorrow. That's dumb. If that's the thing that's keeping you viable, keep doing that for now. But you need a second thing. You need some kind of a business that has inherent in the way it works, that has some capacity to produce this financial and personal freedom. I'm assuming that you're not the world's greatest singer, that you're not the world's greatest musician, that you're not a great actor, and that perhaps you're not the best writer of novels or whatever that kind of way to make a royalty or residual income that pays you over and over again. So assuming you don't have those skills, you need to choose something that anybody can do that can produce that kind of income, that kind of royalties. And that is multi-level.
Something that isn't a specific talent then. Like the things you mentioned are things that you almost have to be very creative for or have a great voice for example. Yeah.
Yes. And most of us don't.
I definitely don't.
I was trying to be a rock god in the 80s. If I was any good at it, by now I'd be brilliant at it. But I've had to change direction and get real in my life because I realized I wasn't even going to make rent. Playing once a week, twice a week gigs in dingy basement pubs in the place I lived at the time. Sort of thing. Given also that most of the payment for playing the gig usually went straight back to the establishment before we even left, for example.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Okay, so you need this residual royalty capacity. The way to do it is multi-level marketing for most people.
Do you have an example of that you do, for example?
Yes, I do. I'm involved with the Cellular company, as I'm sure most people know, which is a nutraceutical company that sells a range of oral supplementation products which are designed to have a specific effect, health-wise, on a human body. Great product, great company, great people involved. I've checked it out very, very thoroughly over a period of, 13 years, really. And I've become quite successful in that particular business. Moderately successful, shall we say. Enough that I could stop doing everything else I'm doing now. And if my sales volume remained the same, or relatively the same, that would be sufficient for me to live reasonably comfortably. Fine. I wouldn't need to do other things or have other jobs or any of that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not satisfied with that. It's great. I sleep well, mostly, because it's, I know the basics are taken care of absolutely. However, I'm driven forward for two reasons. One, so that I can achieve the true financial freedom and time freedom. That's at a kind of the next level again income. And that's not to feather my own nest, because the only way I can get to that level is to help a bunch of other people feather their nests 10 times as much as what I get an override on, for example. So it's a public service. It's also a public service in talking about this product to people, even at the retail level, people who don't want to be involved in network marketing for some reason. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Fine, you can still buy the product. That's great, because it's a fantastic product that everybody should be on. And it's a public service telling people about it, because it does. It changes lives. I have seen people's health status, outlook status, everything about their life status change so many times now that there's no way that this could just be a coincidence. I'm not allowed to make any kind of claims, by the way. The company doesn't allow it. It's an FDA ruling. Fine, whatever. But I have seen so many people, including myself, completely change my health status coincident with taking this product. So I am absolutely confident that I'm doing a service by telling people about it. And in fact, if I don't tell you about it, I'm being incredibly selfish, because the only way that you could possibly know about this is that somebody in the know tells you. And there aren't that many of us yet in the know on this thing. So it's kind of, we need to get on with it a bit. So yes, absolutely, I'm involved in a network marketing company. I have been involved with 3 or 4 or 5 different network companies over the years. Most of them were crap. This one's a different story. This one is run differently. There's a different attitude in the management of this thing. There's a different way of going about the business entirely here than what most multi-level marketing companies do. We are of a mind to not be selling people things or trying to sell people things. Our job is educating people that this stuff exists and explaining to them what it is. Having done that, people invariably go, I want it. At some point, either immediately or several months down the track. For some people, it takes them to think about it. Some people even longer than that. Really slow people. I'm kidding. Only a little bit. At some point, most people that have heard about this product enough times that they actually understand and get what it is go, yeah, I get it now. I need that. Just while we're on it, because we're talking about that, let me just have another attempt for those of you who have heard me talk about this product and still don't get it, still aren't excited, still haven't rushed off to this rural shop to get the stuff. I'll give you a link, by the way, you can put up on the video so that people can go straight to it and find it easily. Here is my explanation again for people. So if you still don't get it, pay attention. You might get it this time. Here it is. Every cell in your body has chromosomes that make up our DNA, that instruct the cells how to live, what to do, what proteins to make, basically, etc. On the end of the chromosomes, there are these things that are like shoelaces. The end thing on the shoelace, the plastic that stops the shoelace from fraying, that little shoely plasticky thing. Every time a cell divides in two, which cells always do by way of repairing damage a bit, replacing cells that are worn to the point where they just are no longer viable, so the existing tissue divides into two, and you get a daughter cell that then fills in for the cell that's died off or has been killed off or whatever. Every time the cell divides in two, that telomere, that little shoelace thing, gets a little bit shorter and a bit shorter and a bit shorter. When it gets to a critical short length, that cell can no longer divide in two. It goes into a stage that's called senescence, which is where we get the word senile from, by the way. Senescence. What it means is that that cell has divided as many times as it's going to, and it will not divide again. So when that cell is worn out, it will die. And when enough of those cells in your body are at that stage and die off without being able to be replaced, then you too will die. Basically, that's a very, very important part of the aging, wearing out, becoming decrepit, and dying process. So adult stem cells, which are released from the bone marrow under the influence of this raw stem enhanced product, what they do is they tool around in your blood once they've been released, and they look for tissues that are worn, tired, in need of renewal and repair, that are not keeping up with their own self-maintenance by binary division. And they bind into that tissue and go, I'm here to help. I can see you're worn out. Here's a brand new cell that'll differentiate into the type that's needed for that tissue. And that new cell has a full-length telomere. So that particular cell has a biological age now of 0. So it will divide the full complement of times, thus keeping the body viable that much longer, thus staving off the time of that person's death, everything else being equal, in that manner. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it kind of works from the basis of getting your cells ready to go, renewed, getting you back to square one, basically.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why I say to people, everybody, whether you're fit and well or poorly in any way, you need cerebral products if you want to live a bit longer, perhaps potentially all else being equal. That is not a therapeutic claim. I'm talking about, in theory, given what we know about stem cells, telomeres, lifespans, that this would seem to be a way of giving yourself every likelihood of living that bit longer, if that's something that's of interest to you. So if you want to live that bit longer, perhaps you should probably start taking cerebral products yesterday. That's it. Really?
Yeah.
No strong arm tactics, no sales tactics. It's just explaining that to people. Hey, you know what? If you're poorly in any way, if you've got any kind of disease process, then absolutely you need stem cells to assist you in reversing that disease process. Even if you don't, though, you still need cerebral products, because every day your cells are dividing and those telomeres are getting shorter. Tick, 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 tock, tick, 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 tock. It's your biological clock. And this product, what I'm saying to you is, if you understand what I've said about telomeres and brand new adult stem cells differentiating, basically it's like resetting the clock. Now, it's not going to stop you dying. You're not going to live forever, of course. But I tell you what, it would seem to be a pretty solid way of making it likely that you will live that bit longer, if that's of interest to you.
It does sound very helpful. Yeah.
So,
right. Now I've got
that's the product I'm involved with. That's the company I'm involved with. There's a bunch of other products the company runs as well, which are ancillary products. They are synergistic products in terms of oral supplementation. And then on the flip side, they also have a fantastic range of skincare based on encouraging the stem cells under your skin forward to replace your old tired skin to make you look that much prettier. If that's of interest to you. If it is, go to the link which is on the screen right now, which Jonathan will put on the screen when he's editing this video. And go to the shop and say, I want this and that and that and all of it. Get the lot. It's brilliant. Or don't. Whatever. There we go. Special mentions up on the screen there, Jonathan.
Special mentions.
Special mentions. It says Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Sean Baker, myself, and Harris.
You.
Charles.
Excellent.
There we go. Right.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
I think my finger just went on the screen there, but yeah,
right,
I think you get the point. They're people that I highly rate. So
right, good. That's good. So,
thank God for that. You're on there.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate that. The advice so far, for recap, has been in terms of generalized attitude, posture, etc., is understanding that you aren't special. Your opinion is not just as valid as everybody else's in every field of endeavor. There are people that know much more about you in a lot of areas. The same is true of myself, by the way, too. I know a lot about some things and very little about others. But I understand that. And you need to understand that about yourself, too. Discrimination does occur in the world. The world itself, the universe itself discriminates and will continue to do so, whether we think that to be a good thing or not. The way to place yourself in the best possible position is to do service to others, service to your fellow man, woman, or non-binary super intelligent shade of the color sky blue, pink, whatever. And yeah, basically get your ego in check and get yourself, paying respect to those that have earned it, frankly. Secondly, financially, you need to be involved in multi-level network marketing. I would suggest Cellular is a fantastic opportunity. If you want to be involved in Cellular with me and be in my team and all of that and succeed with me, send me an email. We have a program for that, and I'll basically be your mentor if you qualify, of course. I'll talk to you a bit and see if you qualify to be in my team. I'm kidding. Got to have fun with it.
Brilliant.
Thirdly, you need to lead the most anti-inflammatory life possible. And the way to do that is, in my mind, to take care of the top 5 most important things in my mind that a person in general should do to reduce their likelihood of chronic systemic inflammation. And in order of priority, not meaning that any of these are negotiable, you need to do all 5. But if you have to place them in an order of priority, okay, fine, here it is. Number 1, eat a diet which is 100% carnivore, or as close to that as you can possibly muster. The ideal makeup of a carnivore diet is the muscle meat, not organs, the muscle meat and associated fat of large ruminant animals, read beef. In practice, my diet is 80-85% beef, and the other 15 to 20% is all other animals. Plus, I have a plate of blueberries now and then. I know, hand in my card. I never really was a carnivore and I did it wrong. Maybe some dairy if you like that kind of thing and you don't react to it badly. Eggs are fantastic. That's it, really, pretty much. Be as close to that as you can possibly achieve in your life. Is what I would suggest. So that's number 1. Number 2, obviously, some raw products. A wellness pack consisting of Stem Enhance Ultra, Plasma Flow, Active, and Collagen Active at minimum. That's what you should be on every day of every month of every year of what remains in your life, which will be more, probably, possibly. Who knows? Not allowed to say it will be. Number 3 is ground yourself electrically for as much of the time as is feasible and possible in your life. In practice, how I do that is I sleep on a grounded bed i.e. there's a grounding mat underneath the bed sheet, which is made electrically connect with us when we sleep by body moisture through the sheet, basically. That's how that works. And it has a wire that goes to a stake in the ground outside. We're grounded. Fantastic. Also, right now, I'm leaning on my desk, which has a pad on top of the desk, which is grounded. So I'm thereby grounded while I'm working. And given that I sleep and work and work and sleep and sleep and work and not much else, I'm grounded a lot of the time. So, and you should be too if you possibly can achieve that. Hey, you might not be able to ground as much as I do, but you can sleep grounded. Anybody can achieve that. You should. Step 4, you should block blue light from your eyes at night time as often as you can think about it. I forgot about doing it before I came in here. It's night time now. I should, and so I will, be blocking the blue light. That's how you do it, with dark orange coloured lenses. Blue blockers, basically. Yellow, no good. That's a partial blue block. It's not effective. They need to be dark orange. Certainly not clear. These computer glasses, they say, oh, these will block blue light, but they don't distort the colours. No. If you can see blue, it's not blocked.
Did it work?
Yeah. Hello? Right, so dark orange lenses like these ones. Very sexy, aren't they, too? Stylish.
I've got a pair as well somewhere.
Yep. So, you should do that. And the 5th most important thing on that list of the top 5 is high-intensity burst and repeat style activities and or resistance training, either free weights, machine weights, variable resistance, elastic band type stuff, i.e. John Jackish style X-bar type stuff. Any combination of those things. 30 to 45 minutes 3 times a week. Every single week, pretty much, that you possibly can. They're my top 5 things that a person should do. If there was a number 6, it would be being mindful, looking after yourself emotionally, spiritually, whatever you need to do to feel relaxed as possible, unstressed as possible, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's really my top tier advice for people young and old, I would suggest. And stop drinking so much coffee.
Yeah, that would help as well, probably. Who knows?